Yeah. Okay. We The recording has started. Yeah. So today we'll be looking at React. React is pretty cool. It's an interesting topic. So um, yeah, I'm thinking of the best way to start this. So yeah, basically, let me bring up an empty screen, uh, an empty web page. Yuck, it's here. Okay, so React is just a very popular JavaScript library. It's a library that we use for building user interface. You basically use in building UIs, right? User interface. So it just merges both your HTML and your JavaScript together, right? So it's like it allows you to write um, HTML inside of a JavaScript function, and that function is just being referred to as a component, right? So that's like that's basically what React is all about. It's just a popular JavaScript library used in building your user interface. Particularly, you use it to build single page application instead of creating the entire web page as one massive HTML file. React just allows you to like break sections into components and then try to it just allows you to write reusable HTML. You could just look at it in that way. So it's like you writing HTML as pieces, and then injecting it inside one whole file, right? So imagine you're building a full e-commerce platform, and this e-commerce platform has so many sections. You don't want to have a situation where you have just one HTML page and then write all your code base inside. Just imagine how that one HTML file is going to be read. React is not the only JavaScript library or framework used in building front end application, using building UIs, right? Or using front end development. You have likes of Angular. Yes, Angular. You have this is Angular, and then you have Angular, you have Vue.js, and then you now have React JS. So those are like the three key libraries or framework you see people using on a day-to-day. That's if they're not you have that's if they're not using React JS. So this in a bit, take that out. So if you see front engineers are not using React, sorry, yeah, if they're not using React JS, you see them using Vue JS, or you see them using Angular JS. Yeah, but it's all dependent on the platform you intend to build, right? A whole lot of platforms are built using React. You can just do a quick check. Let's see, what can I use? Let's use Gemini and ask Gemini's which let me see, which companies, each let me use big companies currently use React JS for their UIs. And let's see, the guy is using React. Meta is using React, right? So is a creator of React. Meta naturally uses React, uses it heavily. So your Netflix adopted React JS as well. The Airbnb, we have Uber, Walmart, Dropbox. We have Discord, Amazon, the New York Times. So like these are like some of the big guys currently using React, right? So this is also applicable to Angular. Let's see the ones using Vue.js. Vue- Vue.js for the UI. So let's see. Uh, okay, we have GitLab, Adobe, Grammarly, yeah, Inanido, Upwork, Trustpilot, Jackbox. Yeah, so from the look of things, right, you see that React is, let me see, let's check for Angular. Angular. Mm, come up. Mm, okay, we say, let me just speak. Okay, Angular is widely favored by large enterprise and tech giants for the front-end user interface. Google, Microsoft, Vimeo, Upwork as well. And then most of those banking guys, PayPal, Capital One, Forbes, Netflix also still adopt. Okay, why Netflix uses React for its consumer streaming UI? It relies heavily on Angular for the dense internal operational tools. Yeah, so from the look of things, you discover that React is widely used. Angular is widely used also, but on a day-to-day, you see um, maybe more of React rules compared to the other tech stack. That does not mean if you know how to write React, you cannot quickly pick Vue.js or AngularJS and learn it right. You still can. I think I've used Angular once for a payment gateway. That was in 2021/2022. I'm currently working on a project that is using Vue.js. I write React.js like on a day-to-day. Our LMS is built with React.js. The LMS we are currently using is built with React.js. So yeah, learning React is really not out of place. You can see a whole lot of rules coming in React and all. Yeah, so that was basically it for like the intro, right? So why write React? For example, now let's try to build something very basic um with let- let's call, what am I going to call this, with our normal HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, something very basic, and then we'll that will still serve more like a refresher for us, and then we'll now set up React and try to build that same thing with React, and then you see the heavy lifting React takes from you when you're using React to build compared to when you're using let's say HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to build, right? It's going to be a very simple application, right? Just solve a very basic problem. Like we could let's just assume like that we are working as web developers, right, in a software company, and let me get a scenario. Let's say we want to create like a dynamic web page that display welcome message and allow user to trigger an alert by clicking a button. Just a simple HTML. It displays, oh, welcome to React. And then when you click a particular button, it just throw an alert, something like maybe button click or something, right? Or yeah, something, just a very basic thing like that. And then we'll also try to build it with React and then see how that's going to play out. So I'll create a folder here and call this one HTML underscore project. So this is where we'll build the HTML project. Let me create a file. We have our index.html here. And then it's a simple one. So yeah, just for the sake of maybe revision, I'll also create a CSS file as well. If not, I would have just done everything in one place. So I'll just cost out that CSS, and then let's say maybe we'll have here app.js for our JavaScript. So this is our HTML file, our JavaScript. So our JavaScript is here, our HTML. Just create the boilerplate. You already understand this one. And inside of here, I am not going to do anything much. We'll just create a simple div with a class of container. That will be all. So that will be all. That'll be all for our HTML. And then maybe for our CSS, so let's run this guy. So I'm using this plugin called Go Live. I think this extension, I've shown us how to use extensions. Oh, I'm using Cursor. I'm not using VS Code. But yeah, that doesn't change anything, right? I'm using Cursor, but yeah, that doesn't change anything. So we can link our HTML file and then link our JavaScript file as well. We'll pass in the async keyword. So yeah, basically that's all we're doing here. To test our CSS file, let's be sure everything is working fine. Have this thing gone live? Let me see. Yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah, that's gone live. Let me bring it here. Okay, so to test if our CSS is connected, we could just target the body. Let's just target body and give it a background color and then a font, this font family. Let's just keep things simple. Let's see if that color. Let's use an obvious color, black. Let's check. Yep, see it's black. So let's say if this was red, see it's red, good. To show that our CSS was successfully connected, right? So in our JavaScript file, like I said, we're not doing so much. We could just write a basic. Well, first of all, grab this container, right? To grab it, very simple. We just do a const, let's call it container. We are using the query selector because it's a class. That's why we're using dots, right? Or we could do document.get element by class name. This is a class. So because we're using this method, we don't need to put the dots. But for using the query selector, that's where we'll put a dot for a class and a hash for an ID. So now that I've grabbed this guy, we could say can say, let me use a function const. Okay. Yeah, let me just write an arrow function here. So we'll be using arrow functions going forward. Let's say we'll call this render UI. This is, remember our arrow function is just you put in your open and close brackets, you do the arrow sign. The arrow sign is the equal to followed by the greater than sign on your keyboard. Then you put the curly bracelets, and that is it. So now here we can give the inner HTML, this, let me, okay, let me go slow with this. So we just call this container dot inner HTML. Inside of this inner HTML, we can put in, so what we wanted to do was like just a simple web page that says hello world, right? Let's also add a button that click me, right? So if you click this button, something should happen. So we have injected this into the container. This is empty. If you come to the web page, see there's nothing here, right? But we now say, okay, we're injecting this tag inside this container, inner HTML, right? So let me call this function. So we can call this function as, this is how we call functions. So if I come back here, let me see. See. Okay. Um, if we do this, okay. Let's even check if our JavaScript is working right. So we could just simply do console.log container. Save this guy. Let's check our console. Yeah, container is displaying here. So why are we not seeing this guy? Container. Oh, oh, yeah, I like this. Okay, let me come back. Let's see something. Let me show you guys something real quick. So if you check, I console log this thing, the container. Look at the way it came as an array, basically, right? So if I do this, 0 here, you can see it here. So let me do the same here, console.log 0. You can now see that particular element. But if I use query selector, I don't need to pass in this 0 again, but everything will be fine. So this is it. Yeah. So let me just do like a quick style. Let's say dot container. No, dot container. Let's give it a width of 300 pixels, and then let's call margin 0 auto because I want it to be placed in the center. That's why we have it here. Yeah, so we don't plan to do so much. So then we can put like a click function that if you click this button, we want to throw an alert, right? So we could just come down here and say const button. We'll have this const button is equal to document.query selector button. And then we now add the event listener. Button.add event listener, it's a click event. You still put in the arrow function here, and then you just message. Let me just pass in a different message. Let's see. Okay, hi there. This works. So now let's come back here and click. Now see hi there. On click of this thing, we now alert this model hi there. Right. So this is how this is built with combination of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Right. So it seems like we're doing a lot here. So this same mini project we build, we are going to do this same app using React. So we then understand the role of React in building UIs like this. right? Okay, so let me come back here, close all of these guys, and then as usual, you can commit this HTML basic project. So I combined git.add plus git commit, right, into one query, and then I've written that. So we'll create a new folder here and call it React project. So we want to build that same thing we build with HTML using React. So we'll navigate inside of that folder. So if we come back here and do pwd to check our working directory, discover that we are the root folder. So we can navigate into, let's do ls to see what's inside React project. So let's navigate cd into React project. So now we are in React project. Let me do pwd to confirm. You see, we are now in React project. So yeah, let's go back to the web. So a lot of these things heavily dependent on documentation. As a developer, there's no way you avoid reading docs, right? So can come back here and check React JS. So we're looking for their docs. So this is that doc, React. Open React. So yeah, React is a library for web and native users. So there's like a learn module here. If you want to learn, you just see this learn. Yeah. So if you click on learn, there's like a get started, creating nested components, just some basic lessons, right? But that's not what we're after. So we came here to do installation. So you click on this installation, create a React application. So creating a React application, if you want to build a new app or a website with React, we recommend starting with a framework. If your app has constraints, don't worry, let's start from the grassroots. So I'm sure by now you must have installed Node.js on your system, because while we are learning JavaScript, we said Node.js is a runtime that allows you to run JavaScript, right? So as well with Node.js, you have once you have Node.js installed on your machine version, you should be able to run this to see your Node.js version, right? Let me do that on the terminal. I think it's Node. Oh, it's Node, right? Version. Yeah, see your Node version. So once you install Node.js, it comes with npm, Node Package Manager. npm. Let me show this guy. npm. So once you, let me try to check the version. You see, it comes with npm, a Node Package Manager. So basically, Node.js has like packages. So the Node ecosystem has what we call npm. Let's say npm library. Let me check. Go to npm library. Yeah, this is like npm library. It has a ton of packages here, right, that you can install to do anything you want to do with, right? So there's like, remember when we were trying to make API calls, we were using fetch, and I was like, fetch is it's a built-in method in the browser, like it's built in your browser, so it allows you to make API calls. But maybe when we get using React, we could be trying things like Axios. So Axios is a package. So basically, what's a package? Packages are just small pieces of softwares or programs that allow you to do something. So people build small. Oh, come to think of it, I think I've built a couple of packages that I no longer use. So people build small packages to solve a particular problem, right? So you could build a package and publish it. It's just like maybe you are like an English tutor, and then you guys have like a library where you form your own words alongside their meaning. So people can go and read about your words and then pick them and use them in their writing or in their communication with other people, right? Let's say a word like come, somebody now wrote come in the dictionary. I say, okay, anytime using come as in COME, this is what it means. So now while you're writing your speech, writing your whatever, you're now borrowing those words from what people wrote, right? So that's just like how packages are. They are small pieces of softwares or pieces of code that solve a particular problem, right? So people just write them to solve a particular problem. Like Axios here, for example, people built it. You can even see this is the collaborator, and this particular this is the right Axios. Yeah, you see the collaborator. That's like the person that built it. Publish it here for you to come and install it to solve your particular problem. If you look at this particular package, this is the total number of weekly download it has. About 108 million people have installed this just this week. So this like weekly record. So there are tons of package here. Anybody can build a small package and deploy it. I think I've built a lot. Yeah, this was when I was working for this organization. I even built a package for them. Uh, I was trying to see if maybe I can log into my personal account. But yeah, these are different organizations I've worked with, and then build and deploy packages for them. I can log into their NPM library. I was thinking maybe I could log into my own personal account and create some packages I've also personally built and deploy, right? Yeah. So to install those packages in your application, that's where you need NPM, a node package manager, right? That a lot of package managers, there's PMPN. Let's just keep it where we are. So you need NPM to install, right, some of those packages. So to create our React application, then we'll be using MPX, 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 MPX. Let's do MPX versus NPM and then see. So NPM is all about installing and managing package. MPX is about running them. So you can use MPX to run them and you can use NPM to install them, right? So we want to then create a new React application. So we'll be using MPX to run this package. So React also built a package called create. This is Next.js. We are looking for React. Yes, this is React. Yeah, this is React. So they created their own package. This is their own package. So you can run it to create your own React app, right? So all what you need to do is once you land here, locate installation. Once you get to installations, you go to create React app, scroll down to React router version 7. You just copy this code snippet, come to your terminal. Make sure you're inside of the folder you want to create that app, right? So you can paste this. Two things you can do is you can, at this point now, specify the name of the application. At this point, let's say I can call this, my app. And then you just hit the enter key on your keyboard. Then it will start running. Yeah, do you install? Yeah, you see yes. It's just then you type Y for yes. Okay, proceed. So it's creating our React app. So what's going to happen here is that it's going to create a folder inside this React project called my app. that's where all the React code base are going to be inside. But if you want to create it directly inside of this place, then you're not going to pass in a name here. You just put dot, and that's you saying, okay, create that project inside of this place, right? So now, mm, so it will ask, is asking me, okay, should I initiate Git? No, I don't want you to do it for me. Git is already initiated. So install dependencies with npm. So it's just to answer these questions now. Yes. Include React Route agent skills. Yes. So installing dependencies. So this is the whole, you can see it created this folder, right? But as me, I didn't want it to create this folder where I pass in this name. I wouldn't have passed the name. I'll just put dots as in the dot or full stop, right? There, and then it will create this project inside of the main repository. I don't know if that makes sense. So let's just give it a few seconds for it to create the project. Let's give it a few minutes. Few minutes. Few minutes. Installing the dependencies. So this doesn't take so long, depending on your network. Let's just wait a little longer. That's a bit too long, man. Wow, I think this is taking longer than expected. Okay, yeah, we now have this created. Yeah, so this is our React project. Let me take this out. Uh, I should have allowed this thing to create a very basic project. Sorry, let's create another one. I want to create a very basic one. So we could have like the full context of things. So yeah, now I can run that command again. Instead of passing this name, I want to create it now directly inside this folder. So like I was saying, just put a dot, just one single dot, one, just one. Then you hit enter using templates. initiate git, no, install dependence, npm, yes, include React Router agent skill. No, I don't want to include this now. So I want to have it, yeah, yes, I want something basic like this. Good, great, yeah. So the project, our React project is created. So if you look at the folder structure, this folder structure varies, right? For some people, you may not see certain things. For some projects, you may not see certain things, but the concept is the same across all React projects, right? So if you look at this is our node module. The node module is more like having a dictionary in, let's say you're writing an exam and then you kept the dictionary by your side. But if you are submitting, yeah, they allow you to use a dictionary, you can import words. No, let's not call it a dictionary. Let's say you're writing an exams and then they allowed you to keep like a trash can beside you. You can do some rough writings and then maybe tear off that paper and then you can trash it there. But if you're submitting your exams, you're not submitting alongside the trash can, right? That's the essence of git ignore. What git ignore does is when you push this code to GitHub, anything that is specified here is going to be ignored. It is not going to GitHub. That's just what it means, right? So here you specify all the things that you don't want to push to GitHub. So you can see the node module is also specified here. That's why if you look closely, let me zoom in. You see it's taking like a different color compared to these other ones, right? Let's say maybe I don't want to push this. We don't need this now. Let's say I don't want to push this Docker file. Let me delete this Docker file to I want to keep this thing as basic as possible. Let's say I don't want to push this README file. I can as well come into git ignore and then say, okay, I don't want you to push this file. There's a file called readme.md. Immediately notice the file also took like a different shape. So if I push this thing to GitHub, it's not going. That's basically what this .git ignore file is meant for, right? So if here you specify the things you do not want to push. Then this one has like the public folder. This public folder are like assets. Assets are more like images, things that you want to be made public, right? You put them here, like asset that you want to be made public. Then okay, if you open this, we have app will come here. Node modules is more like your trash can, or it's more like a copy, or this contains all the packages, right? A reference to all the packages you have, but you don't need to push this thing, right? Then the public just keeps like a public asset. The git ignore files where you can specify what you don't want to push to your GitHub. Package, not let's start from here. Package.json. This file contains all the packages you are using in your application. I already explained what packages are, right? So there are two kinds of packages. You have like dev dependencies and you have core dependencies. So if you look at this, it's telling us that, oh, we are using React, and then we are using React DOM, we are using React routers. You can as well check each of these packages, what it does, right? Just copy this guy and then check React router to see what it does. See, this is a package. Let me open it to see. Yeah, you could just do like a quick Google search or a Gemini search to find out what React Router is. But basically, is the one that allows you to do all those your navigations and all, right? Maybe slash this page slash home slash login slash sign up is being managed by your React router. The DOM is like the main engine. It's like the node. It's like the whole um HTML body, right? Then React is the library, and then is bot. I think this is just like a bot that came in. You can uninstall this if you don't need it. Then we could, so yeah, all basically this just keeps like a store of your package. And then another important thing to pay attention here is the script. So this is dev, this is start script, and then this is a type check. So you can use your npm. Remember we said npm that are used to install and manage your packages, right? So you could use your npm to run some of those commands. So you can say, okay, npm run, this is a script you want to run, build, dev, or start. But to start our project, we'll be using npm run dev, right? Yeah, we are still running through this. So let me close that for now. So these are just scripts that you can run using npm. And to run a script here is just, you just need to write npm run followed by the name of the script. Yeah, that's it for package.json. So package lock.json. This guy, what it does is like, let's say I'm working on a project with 2 or 3 other people, and there is like a package. Package has different versions, just like applications, right? Would have apps have like version 1 of an app, you can have like a version 2 of an app. Version 2 of an app could be either fixing a bug or bringing in new features. Packages as well have different versions. There are some versions that if you install in your application, they may conflict with other things, right? So let's say maybe I'm working on a project with you and I don't want you to go and run an npm upgrade or run an npm install and then install a higher version of a particular package. We could then use package locks helps you to like sort of like the word lock it that okay, this for this particular package, this is the version we are using, right? So if you come back to this package.json, the packages we have here, you can even see there are different versions. You can see React is version 19.2.7. So this up sign here means anything above it, right? So we could lock it that, oh, we don't want to go beyond this by removing some of these things. You can remove this. That's okay. We are using strictly version 19.2.7. So, and then our package lock will now sort of tile that package to that version so that everybody, it will now make sure that everybody use that version across board. Nobody uses a version that is higher than the other person, right? So that's what this file is doing. React router config, this is just a basic configuration file. Some of these things may not make sense now. TS, oh, don't tell me this is a TypeScript project, please, please, please. Oof. Okay, interesting. Okay, don't worry, let's go. Okay, so we have a TS config. This file, because what we ran was a TypeScript. I don't like introducing terms that will bring problem, right? So we have the same way we have JavaScript, right? JavaScript has another brother called TypeScript. And the TypeScript is the same way we're writing our JavaScript. That's how we also write TypeScript. Just that the brother will, if you remember, when we are writing JavaScript in some application, some things we build, we could say a function is expecting, yeah, something like this. A function is expecting a parameter called a name, right? So this function is expecting a name. You now pass in the name and then to display hello name. This is normal vanilla. You see, they call it. If you hear maybe people referring to things like sorry, I don't mean that. you see things like vanilla JS. So we are referring to like the core JavaScript, vanilla. Here is we did not specify what type. Remember, we also did data types, right? TypeScript now, I'm referring to this guy, type. TypeScript now wants you to declare the data type that this function is going to be receiving, right? So it will allow you to do things like this. This is a string. Yeah, this is JS file. That's why it's doing all this complaint and all, right? It's telling you that, oh, type annotation can only be used in a TypeScript file. This is a JS file, not a TypeScript file. But yeah, if you're writing TypeScript, this is what you're expected to do. It means you're saying that this function is expecting a parameter, but that parameter is data type string, right? Our project was created using TypeScript, which is what I don't want us to start dealing with now because we have not done any TypeScript class, right? So let's see, maybe let me come back and check if we could create a, a JavaScript application, a React application. Man, where's Gemini? I don't want to start reading docs. How can we create a React JS? Let me put it vanilla JS project. But let me check the docs. I'm sure it should be somewhere in the docs. TypeScript has become the order of the day. Yeah, but I want JavaScript. Let's see what this can do. Okay, let's try this command and see. Because I don't want to create a TypeScript project. Sorry, guys. Let me just delete this completely. And then go out, do, and then we could paste this guy, npm. Okay, we'll use npm create void latest. Okay, template React. Let me call this our React project. Let's see if this is going to work. Yeah, I think this will work. Package name. React underscore project. Okay. Yeah, select framework. So we want React, but we want it to be JavaScript. Let's just use ESLint. Install with npm and start now. Yes. Good. Awesome. Awesome. This is what I want. I want. This is what I want. Awesome. Yes. Good. Yeah, so we have our React project. This one now is JavaScript. So the node module still stands, like I said. The public folder just keep assets, basically. You can see these are just like icons, favicon, and then like a logo icon, basically. Then you have the git ignore. We have explained git ignored. We have our index.html, which is the entry point of our application, right? So this guy now is the entry point of our app. Then we have explained package.log, we have explained package.json, and readme is just like a basic readme file that where you want to write about. If you push this to GitHub, let's say you just want to write about the project and all, so that in case another person pull the project, will know what this project is all about, and then will know how to start the project. Basically, you can actually do without this, but it is advised you keep a readme file, and then maybe keep like some commands that, okay, somebody's pulling your project for the first time can run the project, right? I don't think we have a markdown course, but maybe I'll prepare a markdown course. There's a byte config because this project is running on a byte instance, right? Yeah, so our SRC, this is meaning source, right? This is the one that has, this is the meat of the project. So we have app.css. This is our normal CSS that we write, that we've been writing. See the extension c.css. We have index.css. Yeah, see, we have main.jx and we have app.jx. Then we have this folder assets. So this folder is basically with assets, is to keep, you can delete this whole entire asset folder, right? I will delete it when we start the project, so that we'll have everything looking clean and simple. So like I said, index.html, this is the root, this is the main file, right? The same way you have, yeah, this is like the entry point of your application. So this guy has a div called with an ID of root here. You can see your script is also embedded. This script, this is the main.jx file, this one here, right? So the main.jx now has this app.jx, which is this guy here, right? Then this is the style. So you see, here we import things, right? Because these are like components. So we have this style here. So let me run this. To run your project, you can always check your package.json to see the command. Under script, you can see dev here, right? So we could do something like npm run dev. So when you, oh, what's happening? Okay, that's fine. So we have to navigate inside the project. This is it. Currently, we are not inside. So we could do cd into React project, then we run our npm run dev. So it now gives us this link. You can copy this link. Let's copy it and go to the browser. Just the same way we are having live server do this for us, right? We can have live server was generating this link for us. So when you run your React project, it also generates this link for you, right? So basically, this is the project now. So these are like boilerplates that comes with it when you install when you create your React project. But yeah, we don't need all those boilerplate code. So you can come here, you see asset hero.png, this image, this is the image that's here. React SVG, you can see the image on top here. You invite SVG, you can see Vite here, the icon, the image is here. Yeah. So if we delete this entire folder containing all those images, you see the app will be broken. Now look at what it's showing us. Fail to resolve import assets react.svg from. So this will also give reading those logs to tell you where the problem is, right? It failed to do this from this file app.jx. So if we go to app.jx, so all these links to asset, already we have deleted this folder. So we could take this out as well. This is where it was called. We'll delete these lines. Right? If we go back, see everything is working all fine. Now you can see some of those that are codes that are here. So, but yeah, we don't want to have anything to do with that code base. So let's move out everything, delete everything here. We just keep our div, and then we remove all this. We remove this as well. Let's keep it very basic. This is our CSS file, right? Let me delete this guy too. I want us to have like a very simple app.css. Let me remove all the stylings inside. So we have a CSS file that is linked, but it's not in use. Yeah, so let's see, it's still running. Good. Yeah, so we now have a very simple project. Open this node model, pretty straightforward. This has all our assets, favicon. You can see this is a favicon here. This icon that is here. So if you delete it, you no longer see it. And this is where it's being referenced. Here, you can see it here, favicon, right? Link. So this is inside of our head section. So once you now understand the things that I can place in the head section, you place your favicon here. See, let's say if I take this out and save this guy, go back to that place, you no longer see that favicon there again. So I can come here and even delete it out. Yeah, I'm just deleting all those things so that you understand what and where they are doing, what they are doing, right? So you can as well create a project and delete things one after the other so you know where things break. So these are CSS file is empty. So you can see, you see that it's connected here. For React, you import files, you import components, you use the keyword import followed by the file, right? So let me check index.css, sorry, .html. See the same our title. Let's say I call this React project. Save that. See the title is here as usual. So yeah, what's happening here? Main.jx. This is main.jx. So it's the main.jx that is using this index.css. So if we can take this out and even delete the index.css. Have we deleted it? Yes, we have. It's no longer here. Let's go back. See, everything works fine. All right. Now let's see how everything connects. The connection starts from this is the entry file, right? This file has just 2 lines. It has a div that's the root. Remember, we said React is a single page application. So the whole of this app, this is just the one page, one single HTML page, right? That's when we say it's a single page app. There's just one single HTML app file here. Every other thing is being injected inside of this one single HTML file. If you look at our HTML project we did here, this was the only HTML element that we dropped in the body. Just this. Every other thing got injected using JavaScript at this point. We grabbed that container and then we set the inner HTML. We added 2 components, this and this. And then here we also were able to write a JavaScript to target one of the components. Coming back to this guy here, React, you also notice that the whole HTML file, it has just this one div. And then look at this one now, like our JavaScript file, right? If you come back to this guy, it has just one of this and this. Let's say I remove this and put it here without the sync. So this is just 2 things. We have the container and then the HTML file. And then everything got injected here using app.js. Back to this guy, we have single index.html with two of these guys, once line component, everything got injected to the root using this main.js. So this is like the JavaScript file. So it creates a root, document.get element by ID root. This is the root. ID is root. Back to what we did as well. Class was container. We said document.get, we use query selector called container, right? And then we grab it and we're able to do things inside. Same thing happening here. We created and then render street mode app. So in between here, so this is like this app now is like we have written, or let me show you something. Okay, cool. Let me copy this. Let me delete this app as well. Let me delete this. Okay. Let me delete this as well. Good. Makes sense. So now that we no longer have that, it means we don't need this. So here now, let me just put awesome. Yeah, I think this will work. Okay. This is our src main.jx. Not me, this is not the entry. The entry is the HTML, one single file, one single element with, look at this as your JavaScript. This JavaScript file now, this is it. Main.jsx, right? So this JavaScript file is where we are writing our HTML. So the extension is .jsx because this is like JavaScript. What's the word? What's the word? Yeah, the word is not coming. So it's like allowing us to write HTML inside of JavaScript, right? The XM. So inside of our JavaScript, so look at this as our JavaScript. We run this, you can still see the hello world, all that here, right? So because React allows us to build components, and these components are JavaScript functions, we can come here now and create a new component, maybe we can call it home.jx. So inside home.jx, another extension you may want to also install is check React. I think there's React something. Yeah, any of these guys will do. Yeah, any of these guys will do. I think it's called React Snippet or something. Yeah, if you get this, I think this should also suffice, right? Under extensions. So you can write, remember in our JavaScript, we're using this to generate our JavaScript, just the exclamation sign. You can write REFCE, and then you get this. Let me do that again. REFCE, and then React, it does this for you. So basically what's happening here, what's happening here is you just have like a const home. This is our arrow function. And then you export the function. Exporting the function now allows this function to be imported in another file, right? So inside of this place, you now return something, right? So you can return just this home page. Let's see, that same thing we did. I think what we had here was for HTML. What was it? Okay, hello world, right? We can then put here our hello world. Click me, right? Click me. So if we come here, this is the React home. We have hello world. Click me. Click me is the button. Still the same HTML we're writing, but inside a an arrow function that is exported, right? Wait, let me try this. We did not import this. Oh, sorry. Let me remove this guy here. So this was what was actually displaying on the screen, the one that I put here. Right? So, but instead of writing all your HTML here, you can write it as a component, and then you can import that component. You copy this name, come here, and then import it. So up here, you could just do import as home from, then you specify where that file is home. So this name, you can give it any name. I can call this import as landing page, and then I'll render landing page here. But this is the file, because you now have like an export default here, right? So could give it any name, or let me just keep it as home. So let's come back to our React app, refresh this, you can see it here. So this is it, right? But I call it home, so let me just maintain it as home. So we have our React app ready. And that's just all about React. That's just how you write React. Every other thing, let's say maybe you want to build, so now that we have even imported this guy in the main.js here, let's say our homepage had like maybe different sections. You could have different components. We can even pick just this hello world and write it as a standalone component. Let's say I create a component called hello.js. Come here, REFCE as usual. It's called hello.js. I'm not using this. So I can paste in hello world. Let me remove this div. So this is hello world, right? So if we come back to app, you know what we have here now is just click me only. So I can come, copy this guy, go here, and then import hello world. To import hello world. So you can see hello world display. So you can break a HTML file into small pieces called, these pieces are referred to as components, right? Then maybe somebody else can be working. That's why if you're working with a team, just even one landing page, 3 people can work on it. One person can pick a component and be working on the hero section. Another person can pick the footer and be working on it. Another person can, let's say, pick the main component and be working on it. When you guys are done, you just add it, call your component here, and then everything will come together as one application, right? Yeah. So, but this was just an illustration. Let's get rid of this file called hello. Paste this here. You no longer import this. Yeah, so we have back our hello world, right? So remember this one, once we click that, puts this, right? So in using React now, we can just come to this button and put one event on click, alert, hi there. Sorry, on click, alert, hi, and that's all. Sorry. Okay, let's put this inside an arrow function. On click, alert, hi. Let's see. So on click, you see hi. So it's the same thing that we were writing plenty JavaScript. We're not writing any JavaScript here. So it's the same thing we built here that we're now building here with React. And that is just all, right? So let me run over through this again. We have node modules, dumping stuff there. Public, you keep your assets that you want them to be publicly accessible. And then the SRC holds the meat of the game. So, but the entry point now is index.html. Just two things. You have the div with a root, and then this is more like your script, your JX file, right? So inside here, this is the main JX file. So you can then render components inside of your main JX file. This is one component. And React allows you to break a big file to small pieces. That's just everything you need to know about React. Right? Let's say you want to even have the stuff, you can then even add, let's say maybe we'll have something like home.css, right? That home.css, and let me give this div a class name. So here, instead of calling it class, you call it what? A class name called container. Container. No. So can paste it here dot container. Recommend something for me. Let's say width of, let's give it the same width, 200 pixels, and our margin 0 auto. Then to link this CSS file to this JX file, all what you need to do is come to the top and import it. Import dot home dot CSS. Let's see if this is gonna work. Yeah, I can see it here. So you can, let me give it a background color. Can see it. So that's just all. It's pretty simple and straightforward. So it takes away a lot of these headaches doing things like this. So here we have to even write a full-blown function. We first of all target the element. Now say, okay, button dot event listener, click event, arrow callback function, alert, hide there. But this guy just went straight to the point. But this again can also be extracted into a function, right? Maybe somewhere here you could have a function, you can call it function. Let's say I call this handle click, or I can say function see hide, and then inside this function, I'll just do alert hide there. So here on click, inside on click this curly bracelet, I'll just call the name of my function see hide. I come back, see that still works. Right? That's just all. So yeah, once we are able to understand these basics, create a project, start it, create a component, add the component. That's just all. Every other thing is just basic things. We'll be learning them as we go. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. So I think we've come to the end of today's session. I don't know if today's session made sense or it created confusion. All right. Any question before we call it a day? Yep.
It's not like is this React, you know?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
I say please, is the React in other courses?
No, I've not added it, but I'll add it tonight. Between today and tomorrow, I'll add it.
Okay, so thank you.
All right. Yeah, Joseph, your hand was up.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good. Evening.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about React hooks. I want to explain and elaborate more about it.
Good question.
Sir, did you get that?
I did.
All
React
right, sir.
hooks, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hmm. All right, I'll explain. So, but React has a lot of hooks. Is there any specific hook you you want me to explain?
No, not really. Just the concept of React hooks, how it works, and no specifications. Like, I just want to understand more about hooks on React. That's all.
Okay, let's do it this way.
All right.
Let me put it. List all the. Let me put it basic React build. I'm using the word build in hooks with a short brief. Why I use built-in hooks is because you can write your own React hook. There are
Okay.
custom hooks. Yeah, there are custom
Okay.
hooks. So you can write your own custom hooks to solve or to be doing something. Your custom hooks can help you maybe in making API calls or doing literally just anything you want it to do, right? So that's why
Okay.
I built so that built-in hooks, the ones that follow come with React, and then they are the ones you now build to do a particular thing. So these are like the core basic hooks: use state, use effect, use context. Use state. This one is more like uh, it's more like look at this guy like his storage, right? Let's say maybe
Okay.
in this
Yeah.
now where we have this guy, we could do something like const um const const um okay, let me do this. Let's say we could do something like const. I'm looking for a very simple scenario. Let me see if this guy gave me any scenario. Uh, let me see. Give me a basic scenario for use state. But yeah, what I just want you to understand, use state, just look at them like a storage, but not like a storage that persists. When I mean persists, not like a storage that will hold things for you to come back and reuse them, right? It doesn't work that way. Great. Okay, let me use counter for example. Let's say maybe we're building like a basic counter. Here's our proof. We could have something like const. Const. We have count, and then we can have set count. Then we can have use state to be equal to 0. Meanwhile, you're importing this thing from React, from the library.
Okay. Okay.
Inside of this library, there are plenty things here. Let me, there are plenty things. There's use effects here. There are a lot of things inside of this place. There are a lot of plenty hooks inside of this library, right? Because it's built inside of React. That's why it's
Yes.
imported inside of React, right? So
Yes.
then maybe here I could set something like I could have a div, and then render discount. Uh-huh. Render discount. This makes sense. Okay, let me change this to a counter now. So like I was trying, if they are local storage, right? So the value of count is equal to 0, right? So this is how you use state
Okay.
called destructuring. You destructure and remove the first initial, and then this one is a method used in setting this one. You can give it any name, right? I
Yeah.
can call this thing
Yeah.
like value, and then I call the next one set value.
Value. Yeah.
Then maybe this place now can be value. But
Value.
instead
Yeah.
of referring to value, I'm referring to this number called zero. So if I go to this screen now, you see zero is appearing here.
Okay.
So I can use the second value now, this set value, which is a method to manipulate this guy. This same function I wrote here, let me just take this function out. I can have an arrow function here that say, okay, let me change this thing from click min to, let me say add one. I can have an arrow here that says set value to be equal to value plus this value plus one. This is fine. So this is what this thing, remember I said this guy is a method. You use this method to change the state of this one.
Yes.
So but in the initial state, it's just like a human being, right? I'm looking for a real life scenario. State.
The initial state was 0.
Yeah, let's say you're referring to water. The initial state of water is in liquid form, right? When you put it in a freezer for a particular period of time, it changes states to maybe ice or something, right? Right?
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
this look at method like that fridge that is changing the state of this guy. So the initial
Perfect.
state of this guy is zero, is liquid. The initial state of value is zero. But set value can be used to change this thing from zero to, let's say, one, for example, right? Or to be increasing these values, right? So
Perfect.
now this is where we have the button. So you see, as I'm clicking, it's adding one.
Exactly. It's changing the state.
Yeah, it's changing the state of this guy now. So this is like one of React hooks. So React has a lot of built-in hooks. This use state, use effect. This one just handles like side effect. Usually can use this one maybe in API calls, something like that, right?
Exactly. API calls. Yes. That's where I'm even going to.
Use context helps you to avoid probes drilling. That's passing data from one component to another. So it's like a global state that whenever you need any information, it's just like having a library. Whenever you need anything, you just go and pick it from that library and use it. That's what use context does. So instead of, okay, it's like having a delivery guy. Let me use a delivery guy. So, okay, cool, that's fine. We have actually ended for today. You could drop off. Thank you, sir. All right. So it's just like good night, thank you. It's just like having a delivery guy that helps you instead of, okay, you tell somebody, can you carry that thing and give me? That person will carry and give the next person will pass it to the next person, the next person will pass it to the next person before it gets to you. Use
Okay.
context, just, okay, I need that thing. Use context to say, okay, take it. It's not passing to anybody before it gets to you. It just hands it over straight to you. So there are a lot of
Yes.
use memo, use callback, use layer. But like I said, you can then build your own custom hooks. So hooks, they just make your life easy.
Exactly.
They're just pieces of small libraries or
So can I call it components? Components.
yeah, components that
Yeah.
just help you solve certain things, right? Yeah, so that's basically it. Yeah, Kende, your hand is up. Kende.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Thank you very much for this opportunity.